difficult questions for those who saw the 2000 Mules documentary. Number 1. Do you think that a criminal organization able to manage and organize 2,000 to 50,000 mules would only engage in one type of voter fraud and not multiple other types of fraud not mentioned in the 2000 Mules documentary? Number 2, do you think it's possible that a criminal organization this big just started in the last election cycle? Or do you think that this has been going on for a while, and what you've seen is just the latest development of a long-running, organized voter fraud campaign? Number 3, how is it that none of America's criminal investigative organizations, the police, the FBI, the Central Intelligence, the Justice Department, law enforcement, military intelligence, etc., none of them bothered to do this investigation or purchase this specific geo-tracking data? And how is it that none of the many billion-dollar mainstream news media organizations that do investigative journalism, none of them bothered to do this investigation? Number 4, if criminal cartels in Mexico protect their organization by bribing police, paying off judges, buying politicians, and interfering with the media personnel, is it too much to expect them to do the same things here? Or think of it this way: if there were only 100 to 200 mules, it's reasonable to believe that this conspiracy might have slipped by without being noticed. But by the time there are 2,000 to 50,000 ballot trafficking mules, that's only possible if this cartel had other branches of our society helping them. For example, law enforcement, media, politicians, big tech, NGOs, news, businesses, judges, etc. Number 5, if you come home and there's evidence of a break-in in your house and a criminal is hiding in your bedroom, how would you handle it? Would you first fix the door or window and ignore the criminal in your bedroom? Or would you first get the police to remove the criminal from your bedroom? If we have elected officials that were put in power by organized fraud, it doesn't make sense to leave them in power and say, let's fix the voting system so this won't happen again. Number 6, don't you think that any elected official that was brought to power by this cartel would do anything possible using their position to interfere with and stop all criminal investigations? Number 7, don't you think that this voting fraud cartel would also engage in voter fraud for other non-presidential races? Number 8, why do you think Rumble.com, a video sharing service, would send out this tweet? Major update. Within the last 24 hours, Rumble has been under an unprecedented attack. Our engineers are working around the clock to mitigate these attacks and prepare for a smooth rollout of our first movie launch, 2000 Mules, tomorrow. Number 9, if nothing is done and the guilty are not brought to justice, do you think this issue will get better or worse? Number 10, Do you think that this cartel was working in other election districts that were not investigated or geotracked by the 2000 Mules team? And number 11, for every 100 mules that were working, how many other criminals were working for this ballot trafficking operation that were not doing drop-offs? Number 12, with so many mules also partaking in the riots, 67 of the 242 Atlanta mules, is it reasonable to conclude that these riots were also cartel-driven? Number 13, how can anyone who knows about this fraudulent 2020 election not demand that this election be recalled and strict voter ID laws be enforced? And number 14, what is the meaning of this oath taken by all our armed forces? I do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And here are some points to consider. At this point, with this evidence, any media organization or news organization will discuss the evidence to either get more information, or to question it, or to rate it, or to argue against it, or to prove it, or promote it, or dismiss it. Or they will engage in a cover-up. There's no longer any middle ground. Ignoring this evidence is a type of cover-up. And censorship should be considered a criminal conspiracy. Tech giants need to be investigated for criminal conspiracy to hide evidence when they censored social media regarding election fraud. And any person, liberal or conservative, Republican or Democrat or independent, who is not willing to fight against this, that person is a coward whose citizenship is as meaningless as a library card and does not deserve to live in a free country. A free country, a constitutional republic with democratically elected officials like America, can deal with many types of election fraud. But once our main leader, the president, is brought to power by election fraud, then we're no longer a free democratic country. So the question is, who's going to make the first move? Who's going to symbolically fire the first shot? Who's going to fight to take down this criminal political cartel?